And you will notice, even though I've used the hairdryer on this a number of times, you'll notice how flat this is. That's because I got the back really wet and dried it once with a hairdryer all over. Got it really hot. Then I re-wet it and put it between two pieces of sheetrock overnight. And so it's pretty much a flat piece from now on. Doesn't mean that I won't get it wet and press it again, but you know, it's staying nice and flat for me. Okay, so I think in order to pull in more darks in here that we just talked about, remember this was the this area, that I'm going to go ahead and pull some of these cools in from the reflected from the sky, and a little bit more cools in here. And as I do, I'm going to work a little bit more cool colors up in here, because then when I build color onto them, this will go darker. So I'll go a little on the bluish side up here, but then we'll change it as we build in more darks. And that's a real nice way to keep your skin looking real luminous. Even the times that I have done people with really dark skin, I didn't use brown. Now, you could use brown in that case, and I may sometime, but I've played back and forth between purples and Quinn Gold and stuff and gotten skin that I liked. But anyway, this just keeps, otherwise watercolor can go too dull. And it can start looking dirty, especially if you use a brown. If you use a brown on light skin, it will look more like it's got dirt on it than like the skin is just darker. And especially on delicate little children. All right, so let's see, what are we going to mix up here? Clear that out. We need some blue. What's a good blue? You know, I just feel safer using cerulean or ultramarine than I do Prussian or phthalo blue. So I'm using some ultramarine, and it does. In fact, this is the French ultramarine. So this is gonna, you know what, I'm changing my mind. Remember, French ultramarine is the one that granulates a lot. I believe I'll go with cerulean. So cerulean granulates too, but it just granulates lighter and softer. It's got more white in it too, and I don't mean white like they added white paint to it. Not in real cerulean, but it's got that opacity and that softness. You know, the opaque colors are just softer. So let's get some of that, and let's put a little oh, I think I got too much. Oh, I got way too much. Look, that's not what I wanted at all. Oh, well, we'll have to fix it. There. No, that's not enough either. That is berry colored, which I love berry colored, but not here. It's still berry colored. That's not bad color-wise. Now, that's not bad. We've got to keep it super weak, much weaker than this. This doesn't look too far from that here, but it has, blues have got a lot stronger effect than you think they're going to have when you put them down. Sometimes I'll mix white into my blues. That's an interesting thought. Well, that wouldn't help up here. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do two different things here. I am going to get this area. I'm going to pre-wet it. And I am going to touch in a little bit of this and spread it, because this is going to deepen. So you see, I put water down first and then I added this. So that is really, really soft, which is what I want. I think I could go a little deeper. Let's get a little different brush here. Actually, there's just a little bit more color right here. So this has got more shadow on it from her hair. So that's what we're trying to do, is deepen this area, and then we'll put more skin tones on top of this. Just trying to get myself a start on a little deeper color. Maybe a little bit right here. Let's just bring whatever I put on her skin here, I'm going to pull up into her hair too. See, I'm just barely touching some color in. That is, I'm keeping that really soft. Really soft. And you can see a little bit of granulation in there, but I don't believe that it will be anything that's noticeable once it dries, because a lot of that look of granulation disappears. Now, we're going to do something different here. I'm just looking for a clean spot to work. Oh, dear. Okay, let's take some of this color that we've been working with. And what we're going to do, to just soften the impact of it, we're going to put a little bit of white ink in it. Always keep the lid on this really tight. Keep a little extra water floating on the top of it too. Okay, let's see what happens here. That looks so light. You think, what? You know, but when it dries, the white won't be anywhere near that bright. Okay, so what we're going to do is get clean water here. And I'm going to pre-wet here. And this is just playing it safe. You don't have to pre-wet this. But I'm figuring that that's a little bit safer move. Just paint the water down a little bit further than where you plan on putting the blues. Or the whatever. Look how pale that looks, because I have to stir it up here a little bit. All right, so now I've already got water down there. And I do not want this on here strong. I can always come back and add another layer. See how this gives it some depth and more darkness. This cools it without making it darker. Let's see, we need some here on the tops of the fingers. So this is going to look darker when it dries instead of lighter like you usually get with watercolor. Take that into account and proceed with caution. I see a spot here on the finger that I would prefer to have lighter, more of the yellow. Okay. We'll just leave that like that for now. Okay, and I will use this mixture for other things later too. Okay, let's come over here and look at the back of that hand. Look at the back of that hand. That's got a lot of color to it. Look at that. I may have to add more, but I'll start out with just pre-wetting this. So this is a culmination of two things. The back of the hand, except in my case where it's all red and big veins sticking up. The back of the hand tends to look cooler. And then it's also facing up at the sky, and there's reflected light from the sky. Okay, here we go. Down here. And when it's got the white ink in it, it spreads differently too. It's much easier to control. So she has got a place on her face that is cooler than any other place on her face, and that is right here. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of this mixture. I'm not going to pre-wet it. I'm just going to take the tiniest bit of this mixture. There's a little bit of that coolness right over here too. And then I'm going to soften the edges on it. This is still very thin. I mean, it's very, even though it's got white in it, I'm putting it on so thinly. This is like a transparent paint. Okay, this area right here is a little cooler too. You know, right here, next to that area that I wanted to darken, I believe I'll just take a little of this right in here too. Again, just, it's got a lot of water in it. This is still very transparent. I can't emphasize that enough. And I want to soften the edges on that. Right back here, behind this area of the nose right there is cooler. This may not be the last time I do this. We have to see her with hair on for one thing, and we've got other things to do in here yet. It's pretty red. right in under here. But there's a little coolness right there. I don't usually start applying this much of this early in the painting. But I'm not in the room to tell you, don't put those blues on yet. So I guess I better show you what I had in mind for them. Okay, I don't like the way that looks. Pull a little of it up. Okay, so we've made some progress here. Now it's time to dry that. And then we're going to build some more skin tone there. Okay, I'm liking the way this is shaping up. And see, we have got movement of color in here without it looking extreme. We've still got to build more shape in here. It's going to have some cools in here. It's going to have more reds in here. For right now, let's go back to this. Remember, this was New Gamboge and Quin Coral. And I think I'll lay a little of that in on top of this. So I think I got that pretty dry. Boy, I'm being so gentle here. Just take a little of that. Remember, I've got water in under this, so this is going to be okay. Yeah, I want this to come in here on the ear some and down this way. I didn't pre-wet this part. So, right here, I'm going to soften these edges. Anytime it's got a red in it, those edges are going to show. And I'm going to take a little of this and pull right in here to get a little more depth going here. And when I did that, look how that eyeball suddenly looks terribly blue. Isn't that awful? Don't panic, we can change it. This could still get darker. You know, I don't know how many times I've darkened this. Okay, here's the thing. My temptation is to get some color on the eyeballs because they look so blue, but I know that I'm going to pull more cools back in here. And so I'm going to wait. A lot of you kind of get panicky about it and you start doing things to it too soon. And then in the long run, it wasn't the right thing. And then you have something that's overworked. So what I'm suggesting is that you hold up. You remember that this builds up over time. You don't get there all at once, or not with my painting style, and this basically very cautious way of getting a soft, smooth, luminous skin on a child. So let's see what we could be doing on the fingers with this color. Let's see if we can move a little of this color down onto the fingers. The fingers don't need to have a lot of buildup to them. But this area right in here is going to get darker. You know, with some cools. And remember, if I put red, yellow, and blue down all at one time, because I have them mixed together, well, that's brown. And brown is, remember what I said, don't paint white skin brown. Do something, do it in layers. It's amazing the difference that makes. I have a bit of an edge there. Okay, let's put a little more life into this. Remember, this thumb is one of our darker areas. It's got a lot more red in it. So basically, just putting a little more color in places that I'm going to gray down later to get it darker. So I'm using this here the same way that I'm using this up here. And you know what? I don't think I want that. There. That's good enough. This area is really, really dark. I think we're going to paint another child after this one, immediately after this one, because I'm working on a project for the show, I guess. Yes. With this, and I want to be careful that I don't lose my little highlight right here along the edge. I'm just putting water down. And maybe just a touch of this orange. I don't know if I like that. I think you know what? I think I did that just because I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And if I caught you doing the same thing, I would tell you about it. But I do want just a tiny bit right here. Just a titch up under there. Remember this little area on the nose, it comes down like this, and it's lighter right along there, and lighter right up under here, lighter right there, and lighter on the edge of the nose too. So right here on the nose, we've got an interesting little highlight. See that little highlight right there? I want that to stand out. So the nose is dry, and I'm going to put a little bit of color in there and there. And then I better soften some edges, but I won't soften the edges where the highlight is. Okay, that's going to need other colors with it later. So now we have an orange baby. Okay, so here's where I'm going to stop. I'm going to produce another one of these videos this week because I know I'm moving really slowly on this and some of you are going to get frustrated with me. That's where we are today. Okay. See you later.